Hi everybody, it's me Maria with Nail Nation on Facebook and Nail Nation 3000 here on YouTube. By request, I'm going to do a series of videos that depicts this winter wonderland holiday themed nail design. And also because there's a lot of detail involved in these nails, I'm going to do them for you on a larger tip because, as you can see, this is much larger than any of my nails. This way, those of you who are viewing on mobile or just really need to be able to see the image really clearly in order to copy it, I wanted to make it a little easier for everybody. So I'm going to show you right now everything that we used in the intro. And I'll make it really quick, but that way you don't have to reference the other videos to find the information. And then very quickly before each nail, I'll tell you what we used. You're going to need a series of brushes or painting tools. If you have one brush that you're able to kind of do everything with, then by all means I would, use that brush. But I like to use a series of brushes. So these are just natural Kolinsky hair brushes that I use with the polish. I recommend for everyone OPI brush cleaner if you have access to it. If not, whatever your favorite artificial nail and enhancement brush cleaner. And I also recommend that you get a large bottle and only keep a little bit in the small bottle because it gets kind of gross and you want to empty that out. For the red, that I used in the sleigh, I used Zoya, and the name is Isla. Kind of like I'm Not Really a Waitress by OPI. It's a little bit brighter, but anything in this family is really good for that. My background on all 5 nails is Berry M CN Blue. You're going to need something in a royal metallic blue like this, this is Trippy Hippie by Color Club. My black, I just used Blackout by Extreme Wear by Sally Hansen and White On. And this is one of my favorites here. This is the new Sugar Plum Fairy by Color Club. So anything that's kind of in this type of glitter. And then, of course, with the snow highlighting, I used Lorelei's Tiara, which this is the new Eye Candy. And just some really true gold striping. This is for the striping. A dotting tool or a toothpick. Something with a fine end is preferred. A palette for your sponging and detail work. And for this sponging, I used this type of sponge. If you can see the texture, it's not the sponges you use for makeup. This is kind of like a really cheap kitchen sponge. And I used 3 plates for a couple of snowflakes and for a base on the candy cane. I used Conad M5 for these little guys here. I used Conad M12 just for the base of the candy cane here, and I added the white. And then I used Conad M59 for the large snowflake. So we're all done with that for the intro of what we're using. And if you're going to use a brighter red for your detail on your candy cane and for your snowman, I recommend Expressionist Red by Finger Paints. And just a little dollop of any kind of bright orange and yellow for your trees. Or any colors you want to use for your tree is fine. So we're going to do and our snowman to video number 3, which is the cute little Christmas tree. And this is, again, you're going to start with your sponging. Now keep in mind when you're doing all of your nails, do your snow and your background stuff first. That way you don't have to wait on it to dry when you get to this step. Now this one you're going to begin at a lower point like here because you're going to run it from that snowman area there. And this one has a little bit of a higher slope off to the left of your nail going towards the inside. And on this one I did not put a lot of the blue for the highlighting because I did the glitter just a little bit heavier, because we have a little less detail work on this one. So you just repeat the process that we have in the first 2 videos, which is simply taking the sponge, sponging the white over it. It's okay to have the stippling, which is the little pitty marks that you see, the little pitting spots. Most people don't like that normally, but in this case it's actually a really awesome effect because it does make it look a little more like snow. So now we've done that. And now what we're going to do is actually create the tree. Now, for some of you, you may decide to go with a stamp and then polishing over your stamp. For some of you, you may be able to do it the same way that I do. So I took Grasshopper from Sally Hansen's manicure line because it was just a really nice bright green. I wanted it to kind of stand off of the blue. And you'll do this again on a little bit of a smaller scale. I do recommend doing this though. Take the brush and create a line. And this is simply your guideline. This is going to help you create a straighter tree. Now, I'm going to do something for those of you who are not as good at creating something like a tree without a stamp. And it's just a little trick. You take your guideline and you go from the top of that guideline and you do one line here and one line here. So now what you have is an arrow. But what you're going to do to create your tree further is you're going to go just below that a little bit and you're going to create another arrow and you're just going to slope those out in a little bit of a curve like this. Can you see that? And then you're just going to create a third one that's a little more dramatic in the slope so that it almost looks like a fishbone with the bones curved out. Then you'll just take your brush and gently fill in your areas like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, guys, we're creating a tree. So the nice thing about a tree is that for the most part, the tree's lines are not going to be exact or perfect. And you can let the brush get a little bit dry and it'll create these little streaky marks. And that's perfectly okay because you can always go back and get a little more polish or paint, whatever you may be using. I'm using polish. And at first it's going to kind of probably to you look sort of like a pointed green blob, and that means you did it right because it's not going to really look like a tree till you put all the design on it. And you can fill it in more or less. And you can even take a little bit of a darker green, which I didn't do in my small nail, but I'm going to do it here so you can see it because some of you may have long enough or large enough nails that there's going to be a lot of definition going on and you can see more details. You just take a little bit of a darker green and mix it in with the green that you have left over. And then what you're going to do is not have too much on there, but just kind of follow some of your lines. And it's just going to give you kind of a tree effect, you know, kind of like there's more pins and more branches and stuff going on than there really is. So it's going to look kind of like this. It's going to be sort of a green blob. And then I take a little bit of black and I make a small basin or pot for the tree to be in by just creating a line across here. And then you're going to curve it inward sort of like a bowl and then a straight line across. That is the simplest way to do it. Now, if you have got good handiwork with brushes, you can put details and things in there or more definition. So now we have our tree on the snow in its pot. Now all we have to do basically is add the detailing on the snow, the sparkles in the back, and the ornament and the star. So let's go ahead and knock out that star. Some of you may have a really nice star stamp that's small that you can use in place of doing this step. I just kind of wanted to show people how to do an easy, you know, star without having stamps because not everybody has them. Again, just start with your line. And what you're going to do, this is a little tricky. You're going to take this and create... You're going to take this and create a little line from the top of the tree with two little lines coming from the bottom like legs. And then you're going to draw another line. And at first it's not going to make sense because it's kind of not going to look like a star, but you're going to gently bring all of the corners and points out and fill in your gaps. So it's just kind of a gentle, it's kind of hard to explain, but you're just going to gently fill it in. And it may be a little crooked and it may not be totally perfect, but that's okay because again, this is polish work. It's going to have some imperfection and it's also fine because when you practice, you'll get better. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and put in our snow detail, which again, I used the eye candy, which is Lorelei's tiara. And I just put kind of a little bit of a blobbing around the edges. And then I use my sponge to kind of blend it in. And what that does is it kind of pulls out some of the base color. And then this one, I did it a little different because I kind of wanted it to be able to show a little more. I took our glitter that we use for the snowman, which is Sugar Plum Fairy for me. And you're just going to take a little bit. Make sure you start at the corners so that if you have too much, you can drag it out instead of it covering up your design. And now all we have to do is add our ornaments. So with my nail, I actually only used two colors because my nail, you know, isn't very big. I used yellow and I used red. Because those were the colors that I didn't have a lot of. And I didn't want to use things that blended too much with the blue. And you're just going to take your dotting tool, or whatever tool it is that you like to use for this, and you're going to alternate red dots and yellow dots, or whatever colors you have. And some of them, make them kind of come off away from your tree so it looks like they're hanging off the tree. And now we're going to do it here with the yellow. Kind of gives it the effect of lights. And again, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's supposed to just be kind of fun. And now we have our snowman, our sleigh, our tree. And we're going to let this set a little while and then we're going to top coat that as well. And now we're going to move on to our candy cane nail. So I will see you in the next video.